Okay, so Cardano's ADA did indeed drop by over 12% yesterday. This was quite a bit of a shocker, but actually on reflection, we can see how that happened. Now, for clarity, I actually entered into a long position down in this range down here. We were targeting out into new higher highs. I had kind of the idea that maybe we had bottomed out, but actually we can see here in hindsight that that had not. This is the importance of making sure that we have tight stop losses and that we're using proper risk management. For that information, more information on that, you want to join us in our free Discord. It's linked in the description down below. So I did hit my stop loss. I am out of the long, but things are still looking very good for a long position. So I might have to jump back into another long because I do see us kind of finishing this off. So let's get back into the TA here, get everyone up to date with what is going on the smaller time frames and all that good stuff. As I get into this, smash the like button, guys. It really helps push the content out to more like-minded individuals. And if you want to stay up to date, make sure to subscribe to the channel. Okay, let's take a look. So obviously we had this wave 2 coming to the downside here. Okay, now we note that we had this area scoped out for the typical kind of wave 2 retracement. That is basically between 90.55 cents and $1.06 cents. Now, yesterday we had this quick move to the downside coming in at 95.94 cents. Okay, so a really good move to the downside has been seen here. I'm just going to go ahead and clear out some of these previous lines. We don't need them on the charts anymore. And yeah, we can see here it's a good move to the downside so far, and it is right inside the wave 2 kind of parameters. Okay, if I kind of zoom out of this even further, you can kind of see how we had our deeper wave 2 before, and this is actually still in a pretty reasonable position. Now, following on from the videos that we put out in the last couple of days on the technical analysis side, this is a very corrective pattern, and why I should have been paying more attention to this yesterday, but I was hoping that this was done for the most part. If we take a look, we measure the distances and all of this, we can see here that this actually did come down deeper than 1.236. I missed this part in my analysis yesterday because I was busy. I actually entered in here thinking that I was sniping it, and we had the stop loss literally just around the 1.618 like this. But obviously we rallied up. I should have been taking profit on the resistance of this 50 SMA. I was unfortunately not aware of what was going on at the time due to being busy, and I didn't come out of my position like I should have done. Hopefully anyone in the Discord server was taking profits on this rejection because it was quite clear that this wasn't going to get a push through it. Okay, so our long position here wasn't ideal, and this move to the lower than 1.236 indicated this was a bounce, only to have this move back to the downside, of which, guys, we can see that it has fallen directly within the parameters and does look like it has finished out a W, X, Y, X, and Z. So everything looks pretty strong here for the wave 2 to be kind of finishing off. It's still possible that we maybe have another little wobble here. I'm not completely convinced, but for the most part, this is looking pretty strong in my humble opinion. That would mean that we have the ability to look at the swing low over here as our swing low for our wave 1 holding. Our wave 2 is typical retracement. We can now be thinking about the long positions for the next move. So as I was trying to do yesterday, and probably should have just put my stop loss a little bit lower here, but for the most part, what we now need to do is put the stop loss lower than 87.58, and we want to be targeting out that slightly higher range at around, I want to say like 160 will be a pretty good place to be, something to that effect. If I bring that out of view here just a little bit, not into view here a little bit, you can see this is a 4.25 risk reward ratio. If we wanted to be super cautious on it, we could of course just target out the 1.5 and look for the next retracement to capture in on, but I think we could probably let this one ride a little bit longer with that stop loss in where it would be. So it does to me look like there's a huge possibility here, an option for a nice long position. Okay, and again, this is all part of the bigger play of what I am expecting to see happen for Cardano's ADA over the next couple of weeks or so. Okay, so on this 1 hour time frame, it's very, very interesting. Now, obviously, we can't just use Elliott wave. I mean, we can, but we shouldn't. We should also look for a few other things to help us understand what is going on here. So first thing we'll do is we'll bring smart money concepts into play. You can see here that we are likely to find this rejection of this equilibrium at the moment. There's good, strong buys at these lower ranges, so we want to be very mindful about those. And up here, you can see the fair value gaps. Chances are we are going to be filling those fair value gaps in the coming days, so I'm not too concerned about that. My only concern here is that there doesn't seem to be a lot of activity a little bit lower than where we are, so we could be looking for a move down towards the discounted range. We'll be mindful of that. Let's turn that off and bring in our stochastic RSI. Our stochastic RSI is still looking for progression to the upside. It's oversold on the 8 and 4 hour timeframes, so we are looking for good progression to the upside, but we might see a little bit more of a wobble today first, probably before the inauguration and all that kind of good stuff. I'll turn the stochastic off and bring in the relative strength index. This is going to be a little bit low. Yeah, we go. And we can see here that we are lower than 50, so we're in bearish territory. If we get a break above that, we could be signaling the next big move. There's no divergences to be seen here on this one, so we can turn that off, and we'll bring in the MACD histogram. The MACD histogram again shows us we've got the selling pressure going on, and we can see here that there was weakness in all of that. Ultimately, we can see everything kind of playing out as expected here. I don't see anything on this 1 hour time frame is too much of a concern at this stage. So yeah, we'll keep a close eye on it, but for now we're looking for a bit of a potential wobble back to the downside. I do think that we have a strong possibility of 95.94 holding. If not, then we're going to come down to those slightly lower ranges, but for the most part we should be thinking about that stop loss being now at 87.58 or lower. Okay, so to me, everything on those also look very good. I'm not concerned about anything that I'm seeing when it comes to, the stochastic RSI, the relative strength index, the MACD histogram. Not seeing any kind of major concerns with those. And our structure is very much an overlapping nature, which shows us that this is a short-term move to the downside ahead of that next big run to the upside. Let's go ahead and roll this up into a daily time frame. Okay, so on the daily time frame, we can see that we are looking for this move up. We are targeting 151.6 to 188.41. I see this wave 3 pushing out towards the 160 area, and then looking for the 4 and the 5. I do suspect we're going to hit the higher ranges, surpassing our 1.382 at 167. From here, we will look for the wave 4 and then finally push out towards the 227. These are key milestones for Cardano. I've been talking about them for quite some time, so none of this should be unusual, but we are, of course, going to be looking at this through a couple of different ways and different perspectives. So it'll be key to kind of keep an eye on it. We could be seeing a zigzag patterns going on here and the ending diagonal based pattern. Rather than the kind of impulsive breakouts. If we do see that, then it's going to be more volatile and we'll see lots of moves up and down, and we can trade a lot of that on the smaller time frames. But ultimately the goal still remains very much the same, that we are looking for these moves up higher, right? I guess conservatively we want to be thinking of 151 to 188, and if we're bullish we want to be thinking 227. So we can be thinking long positions here on our daily time frame. Stop loss in this case wants to be down here lower than 76.2, and then we want to be targeting out this higher range, 277 on the risk reward, or we go to the 227 here for a near on 5 risk reward ratio. Okay, so again, we can trade this on the daily time frame or the smaller time frames. It doesn't really matter. At the moment, we are finding support on the 50 SMA. That is the blue line coming through the chart. Resistance at the moment sits on the yellow line. That is the 50 simple moving average, and 200 EMA is still sat down here, giving us our trend filter to the upside. Still a bullish trend, even though we've had all of these kind of corrections as expected. The wave 4, the 42% correction to the downside, a little rally that we're seeing here, these little dumps in the market, I'm not concerned about. They are building us up towards these bigger movements. A lot of what I've been talking about as well was basically seeing a correction here ahead of the inauguration. We are seeing that, and I can start to see this actually now seeing great progression to the upside. You can see how stochastic here is finding support at the moment on the 50 level on the stochastic RSI. So that's a great place to be thinking about a potential bounce and then a run to the upside. So we're going to keep a close eye there. The relative strength index also finding support on the 50 level, indicating that we are likely to see an uptrend continue. So great to see that. The MACD histogram here showing us with a little bit of bearish divergence. We have seen that wobble now in the market. Outside of that, I'm not concerned about the things that I'm seeing here. So for the most part, this could be a great place to start actually thinking about those next big runs for Cardano, in my opinion, to the upside. So yeah, it's all looking pretty good. Obviously, if I zoom out of this, you can take stock of the entire structure, the entire kind of patterns of what we are kind of tracking here. Ultimately, we are looking for $5.34 to $12.73 for the bigger bullish run on Cardano's ADA. Nothing much has really changed to that macro view. A little bit of a wobble on the smaller time frames, but outside of that, we are looking for 227 to confirm our 5-wave movement. We have the wave 1, 2, 3 at 227, down for 4 and up to 5. It'll probably be on the lower side of the spectrum, not the higher side, unless we get an overextension in that fifth wave movement. But for the most part, as you can kind of see, everything is playing out quite nicely and is as expected, at least in my humble opinion. But what are your thoughts on all of this? Let me know in the comments down below, or better still, because it's full of scammers down there that I can't seem to get rid of, go ahead and join us on our free Discord server. It's linked in the description down below. It's a fantastic community. It's really safe. We have security experts in there making sure that we ban all the scammers so that you don't get caught out at all. So join us in the free Discord. I don't think you'll regret it. Smash the like button, spread the content to more like-minded individuals, subscribe for more, and of course, if you haven't done so already, check that video out right there. It's one you don't want to miss.